Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Real Podcast. I'm your host, David Moya, and today we have a special guest, Sean Caddell. Thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you have this super dynamic personality. I think anybody who knows you would agree that you stand out, and you have a presence about you, about yourself. And I want to kind of dive into a lot of things with you, if you don't mind. But real quick, can we just talk a little bit about how did your start in real estate?
So I started about 20 years ago, and it was interesting because I had a background in finance. I studied architecture and design after I graduated from college. So it was and then I had a degree in advertising and PR. So it kind of all happened in a very interesting and natural way, that everything that I had an interest in combined into real estate. And if someone says, what do you need to do well in real estate? You should understand advertising, PR, design, architecture, and finance. And when I started as a young adult, it wasn't necessarily my goal to be in real estate. But once I found out that it was so synergistic with all the things that I loved and studied, it became a natural.
Nice. And I know you have a love for architecture and design. Those are some of your passions that kind of just have nicely translated into what you do today.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting because, when you start in real estate, you kind of start in neighborhoods that are very like plan A, plan B, plan C.
Yeah.
And then as you grow, you get to study more and get significant architecture, notable architects, and great design. And so you actually get the opportunity to really share your expertise when those type of homes become available to you with experience.
Nice. Now I love the the offline conversations you and I had about today. I think you really can add a lot of value to those who are listening, both home buyers and sellers, but as well as other agents, some of your peers. I think, thank you for being on the show again. I wanted to talk about your success. So I want to talk about mindset with you and just kind of your passion and your success and all that. And then, but you're doing really well. You've been doing well for a very long time. Let's talk about maybe the amount of work that you guys are doing and your team.
So it's interesting. I had an assistant, Jackie, and then an intern, Thomas, who became a vital member of the team. And when we came to Sotheby's, it was interesting. Agents that I had worked with in the past seeked us out and wanted to be a part of the team. They saw the way we worked and they saw there was an opportunity.
Yes.
So a year ago, I thought my team of 3 people was great. And now we have 7 people. They're just getting integrated now. And it's awesome because of the synergy of going on listing appointments together. They know things that I don't know and vice versa. I've been introduced to a lot of people, and every time we get a meeting, we're getting the listing. So that's been really awesome for us. And it's nice because I used to just always go by myself to a listing appointment thinking people want to hire me. I should just go.
Right.
And they want to know that you're going to be a vital part, not that everything's going to be broken up, or so I thought.
Right.
And the more I've been going with people or taking people with me, the wife might relate better to Jackie. The husband might like something that Thomas says, or other team members. So there's something relatable about everybody in the group, and you walk away feeling very connected with the client.
Yeah, and obviously you're a great leader, and I know that your own personality and the way you do things definitely trickles over to your team and your extended team. So I imagine that whole dynamic and that environment, that team environment, the impact you have on them as well as your client has really had a big reason why you're passionate about real estate. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like what, your passion, you talked about architecture, design, but let's talk a little bit about the people and what you do for them, like what you're able to how you're able to change and impact lives.
So it's interesting because when we think of just like a real estate agent, realtor selling a box, a piece of real estate, that doesn't exist in my mind
Mm.
because I'm not selling widgets. I'm not so worried about the small little aspects or details of a home because most of those can be changed. I'm worried about helping someone create the lifestyle that they, through the process, start to envision and it unwraps. Because a lot of times when people start the process, they want to live
Mm.
in Del Mar, but then you start sharing other communities with them, and it might be, oh gosh, I
Right.
really like Cardiff. I can walk to the store. I can walk to restaurants. I can walk to the beach. Okay, that so you help them create a dream because sometimes they don't know what they don't know, but
Sure.
you're creating a future. So and creating a lifestyle, it's much grander than real estate. It changes their family dynamic
Sure.
on the next 10 years or 15 years or where the kids are going to school, who the kids are going to meet.
Okay, so Sean, I love obviously the amount of um, passion you put into everything, and we talked a little bit about you creating a lifestyle or helping people find their lifestyle that they really want, and you touched on just that it's a process, right? It's sometimes a homeowner or home seller might feel like they actually think they want to live in an area, and then you just through the process you show them other opportunities, and ultimately find them the dream of their or the home of their dreams. Talk to me a little bit about the process and the true passion, right, which is helping these people find the lifestyle of their dreams.
Well, we always start by a meeting and talking about the things that are important to them. And there's so many different aspects. Like it could be like about health, it could be children's education in the public schools versus private schools. What are their hobbies? What are their kids' hobbies? Where are they going to be commuting to? Commuting to work? How close to the airport do you need to be? Can you do the train? So there's what kind of restaurants do you want? What do you want to be able to walk to? And so it really changes. And sometimes people don't know what they really want until you
Mhm.
get into the process and through discussion and listening. So it's been interesting because of COVID. I feel like some people they had like a less of a connection with people, and I feel like for us we've had more
Mm.
because people are very cautious about going into homes or having people in their homes. Um, so we have to be much more intentional about the questions that we have. We used to be able to be in the car with them, so things would happen organically, but now we have to know in advance and then recheck and recheck. Where before it just would happen and you didn't have to be as intentional as now. So I feel like we're more effective now than we were before.
That's awesome. Wow, that's great. And you have a name that follows you wherever you go, right?
I do, and it started kind of as a joke because when I moved to Cardiff originally, gosh, maybe 17 years ago, it was just up and coming, and the demographics of the community were changing really quickly from a sleepy beach town into this great town with great restaurants, great market, and great architecture. So I was the only one dressed up in Cardiff when I moved there, and I'd wear a suit and tie every day. And I had a black Jaguar, and I'm driving around, and everyone else has a surfboard attached to their car. And so it was kind of like a joke. People would almost laugh at me. They're like, "Oh my God, who do you think you are? You're like the Prince of Cardiff." And then as a joke, it stuck. So now when I go anywhere around town, like any of the beach communities, it's funny, people that follow my Instagram or
Yeah.
Facebook, sometimes I don't know them, but they knew who I am because of the social media we do, because of the videos we do, whether they be the really professional videos, the shows, or actually in the funny videos that kind of happen spontaneously or through bloopers or piecing things together. And I get stopped now, like the other night I'm walking the dog, it's dark out, and I see six people walking down the street towards me, and they're wearing like dark clothes. I'm like, okay, could be weird. And then all of a sudden they go, oh my God, it's the Prince of Cardiff. And then they stopped and introduced me to everybody that they were walking with. And then I saw them a couple of days later, like, we're the people that stopped you. Because I actually could not even see their faces. So I don't know how they recognized me, but it's pretty funny. So it stuck as a joke, or it started as a joke, and then it stuck. We have letterhead with it on and kind of like a little brand behind it.
Nice.
But we don't take ourselves too seriously. It's all in fun.
Yeah, so I noticed that. Like I noticed about all the videos that you're in. social media, even the professional videos, I think you're still able to convey your personality and your branding that I feel you've done such a remarkable job with, and really makes you stand out. How have you leveraged all that? Really, was it a plan that you kind of had a really finely tuned plan ahead of time, or it's just been through the years you've found the best practices and really the practices that stay true to your brand?
So I think it happened very organically because you don't know what's going to work necessarily for you and for people you're trying to appeal to.
Sure.
And and it changes all the time too as technology changes. So we found if we don't take ourselves overly serious, but just really try to engage and try to get into the listening of people, or have something that they want to see, and then they'll pay attention. And you have to do a mix because you need very professional videos for the homes because we take our jobs very seriously. But to keep people attracted to your Facebook and Instagram, you also have things, you have to have things that show your personality and who you are, because people want to know who you are. And more so this year than ever, I think, because people were so disconnected, that this year people really paid attention. And the comments that we get, or the people that get engaged, like they'll watch the ones that we make that I might have like tripped and like fallen in the pool or something, but then they'll also watch the really sharp ones that we do to show the integrity of a property.
Now, how do you balance the two? Is it, because I'm a big believer in that too. Anytime I'm with a client or a coaching client, whatever, I'm always like, hey, it's imperative that you do both, right? Because there's a place for both, and I think you do a great job at both. So, how do you strike that perfect balance?
So it's interesting because everybody said you had to have a business like profile page and a personal one, but I thought you can combine the two because this is my life.
Sure.
Everything that I'm doing is part of a lifestyle, and it's a part of some, because I don't really feel like I'm selling. I'm helping create a lifestyle. So people want to know who you are too. And it's a really fun, like you have to balance it almost 50-50.
Okay.
And even when you're filming the really professional ones for the clients and for the house, and that are going to go on multiple platforms and the website, but to keep people actually interested in following you, you have to do something that's fun and interesting while still showing the property. Otherwise, they're not going to follow you, because if it's just house after house, it doesn't intrigue people, because there's a lot of houses on the internet, a lot of houses on Instagram, a lot of houses on Facebook, but get them engaged in a fun manner, and then they're going to want to know more.
Yeah, you kind of lose the appeal if you just flood your social media channels with the same type of content.
And they want to know something about you too. Like your friends are going to watch and they're going to share, because they're like all of our business basically comes from either past clients or referrals. And because we've been able to keep people engaged through just being authentic, they share that with their friends, and then we come to mind when it's an opportunity that a client of theirs or a good friend want to either sell or buy.
Right.
And so you just stay in front of people without putting too much, or you have to be super humble at the same time, so that people like want to be a part of what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it goes back to just your, the people who buy and sell with you, your clients choose you because they trust you. And a lot of times at least what I tend to preach is just, you need to make yourself, your brand, who you are, known as well. Because if you don't, then you don't give them an opportunity to connect with you, and you don't have an opportunity to build rapport with them ahead of the time, ahead of when they need you, right? So if you start building a relationship with them, and them just being your sphere, your friends, your past clients, your current clients, and your hopeful clients in the future, then you don't give them an opportunity to start connecting with you and building that rapport.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So really it is about being connected with people, and something that you have in common, or something that you experiences that you can share, especially during a year of COVID. I still feel really connected with people because you see what they're doing, you see what they're doing, and it's a two-way street. You also have to be engaged with what they're doing and be interested too, because it's mutual.
And how do you, I mean, I feel like realtors have a very challenging job. The profession is, very challenging. You're juggling a bunch of moving pieces, right? So how do you stay engaged without spending too much time there and like, you know, spread yourself too thin, right?
So you definitely have to schedule everything, but leave some room in between because
Sure.
nothing's going to go 100% as planned. But I schedule when I'm going to make a telephone call, when I'm going to go to the gym in the morning, like when I'm going to have lunch. Like, okay, how much time do I have? Do I need to bring some? Like, you have to be so organized and scheduled. So thank God for calendars, on the phone here, because that has saved my life, and because it's a living document all day, every day. But I think about what I'm doing every day as it goes, and I relook at every day of the week, make a plan. Like sometimes I'm like last week I was at a dude ranch out in Pala, close to Bonzel, and I'm in boots, and then I had to meet with somebody after that in a suit and tie. So sometimes my car, you can say it looks like I'm going on a trip, and it's just for the day. Like every day I pack my car, every day I unpack my car and put everything back away again. But literally um, we have so many different moving parts, and we have to be dynamic with those moving parts. And it's great. You almost have to have an assistant nowadays to get to that next level.
Sure.
You need somebody that's at the computer, on the telephone, scheduling, reminding, following up on stuff. Because sometimes people go, "Hey, did you see that new listing?" And like, when did it come up? And they're like, "Oh, just right now on Zillow." And I'm like, "No, I'm driving in the car." So we have to be so present because there's so much data and information available to the buyers and sellers every day, and they might be sitting and watching their specific neighborhood or where they want to be. And like you said, moving parts, like we're at inspections, appraisals, showings, doing marketing collateral, and still making sure that we're staying abreast of the hot sheets and what's coming to market and things that are even coming soon, or opportunities like that where there's so much competition out there in certain sectors for the buyers that you want them to win. So we have to be one step ahead.
Yeah, and so you're noticing that having a team, you're able to accomplish more. You're able to, meet the demands of the social media and the content, and as well as obviously making your calls and going to appointments and all that. That's really played into your success.
Definitely has. So to get above a certain number, you have to have a team because there's no way you can manage everything yourself and stay sane.
Hmm.
And we need to be calm for everybody else all day because their emotions are already running high,
Hmm.
whether they're selling or buying. It's a stressful process. So we're here to take that stress out of the process,
Mhm.
or what we can communicate with people. And the more information people have, I think the calmer they are during the process.
And anything else you feel like you would attribute to your success?
Um, so you have to be grateful every day.
Mm.
You're grateful for what you have and what you're doing and who you're working with, no matter the circumstance. I think your life is much smoother every single day. And I'll catch myself like, oh my gosh, so and so's being difficult. And then I'm like, okay, be grateful. At least I have the opportunity to talk to that person today, and they're being difficult. And we don't know what's going on
Yes.
in their lives. So we have to be empathetic and sympathetic. And there's a sounding board, and you're trying to be calm, and then your phone's like ringing, and then there's text coming in, and you're sitting there. Okay, just breathe.
Right.
So you have to breathe.
Yeah. And any tactics regarding that aspect of your business? I mean, staying calm and you kind of gave us an explanation right now in terms of just being in gratitude, right?
I think in gratitude changes everything. And so I have gratitude stones in my house, in my office, in my car, and usually in my pocket. I'll have one too. And so that way, even if something's at that moment stressful or difficult, if
Sure.
I have the stone there, I'll just hold the stone or rub the stone. And you
Right.
know, I think it's a symbol, the stone. It's because it says gratitude on it, but truly, it's just if you're holding something and it takes your mind off of it.
Yeah, because it forces you to be present, right? It forces you to be present in that moment because you're feeling the rock. Your attention goes to that moment versus all these other things that could be affecting your processing, right? Your mind and your thoughts. So it kind of centers you, right?
Yeah, and you have to remember to if there's something that's going not the way you want at that particular second, just stop talking
Right.
or stop thinking. Just breathe for a moment,
Right.
gather your thoughts, and it works really well when you're silent and someone's talking and they're having a difficult moment and you don't respond. You just be calm. It generally changes the way they're coming across too, because then they're getting the opportunity to be calm with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's genius. I love. So I was looking at some of the notes, and I really wanted to dive in, some of this with you, just because I saw a lot of similarities, at least with me. Like it really, resonated with me. Just the whole idea of gratitude. I think at least when I started to uh, get familiarize myself with the concept, because I think unless you really say, hey, I want to be in gratitude, it's very easy to get pulled, right? And especially in your job, you get pulled everywhere. So staying in that space of gratitude, I think, is super important. And then
And I
go
was
ahead.
going to say it's important to write it down too. And sometimes we get busy and we're getting up like at 5 in the morning and you're trying to go to the gym or use your Peloton and then all the things that we have. But sometimes just taking that extra step and even writing it down. And when I'm really on my game, I do write it down.
Nice.
And then when I'm catch myself being a little off, I remember why I'm off. It's because I was forgetting that practice that gets you to the good place every day.
Yeah. And talk. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know for some people, a morning routine is more sacred, so they kind of keep that private. But is there any part of your routine that you can share with us?
I think you definitely have to give yourself a lot of time in the morning so you don't start your day off rushed ever. So I try to think of all the things I'm doing the next day, write them down. I carry this book with me everywhere, and I know it's old fashioned, but I still write stuff down that I'm doing and going.
Yeah.
I prepare myself for the next day the night before. So I already have like my clothes laid out, shoes, belt, everything. Like, okay, it's gonna be cold. I have a jacket. Okay, where's my briefcase? Okay, it's organized. Everything has to be organized for me so I can actually go to sleep calmly.
Yeah.
And super, super important. Like I'm crazy, like, oh my God, I have to go to bed. I need 8 hours. But I'm obsessed with getting the right amount of sleep so that
Nice.
you can be feeling good, being present, getting up, not like, oh gosh, I wish I could have 10 more minutes. We if you're getting up at 5:30 or 6, get up at 5:30 or 6. It's better to write down some stuff, get some exercise, think about your day, not be rushed. Because on the days that I rush, the other day I didn't follow my practice.
Right.
And then I slipped down the last 2 stairs of my house in some carrying stuff, being on the phone,
Right.
and running to the car, and I went, shh. So it reminded me, okay, that happened because you didn't do what you do 99% of the time.
Right. Right. And so having that system in place, or that routine is important for you. It helps you kind of set the tone for the day, helps you moving in the right direction, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like you have to have a plan. Like you can't just willy nilly be about the day because
Right.
there's too many things that are going to happen. So you have to control all the things that you can
Yeah.
because there's plenty of things that we can't necessarily control. But if you control the 90 whatever percent that you can,
Right.
then it's easy to handle that situation and for the best resolution.
And now you have a team, so like you're juggling your own, right, world that's going on in your mind, but then now you're also having to make sure everybody else is staying focused, you're staying focused. And I imagine that all plays a part in, that morning routine plays a part in that as well.
So it's interesting, yeah, because I used to only have to take the calls from the buyers and sellers and other agents, but now I have the agents that are like seeking and wanting my advice on things or best way to go about it and how do we do this.
Yeah.
And so even though I'm in the midst of what's important for me, I also have to take a step back. It's going to take like 2 minutes. You're going to change someone's day,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have to be there. That's why organization is so important, because you want to be there for the people that are working with you on the team, and then your clients, and then also your family too. So you have to be able to integrate that really well, and that's why this is not a job, because when I talk about lifestyle, this is our lifestyle, and you have to love it.
Sure.
And and so like you have to remember, like, your friends become your clients become your friends, and staying engaged and seeing all them. So it's probably one of the only businesses that's that interactively involved with every aspect of your life, even hobbies.
Right.
My partner rides dressage, so a big part of my hobby is the equestrian sports, and a lot of my business comes from just organically. I'm not going to the events to work, but it falls into my lap naturally. Like, people come up and they talk, and
Right.
everybody's fascinated with what's happening in the market and what's happening. Like why is it so strong? Like all the different aspects. So really, real estate is a complete lifestyle.
Yeah, because your lifestyle basically will feed your business, right? Like you're saying, the equestrian lifestyle or whatever hobbies or interests you have, you start to build a network of people naturally. One, because of your personality, you're outgoing and you enjoy being with people. So naturally, you're going to build a bigger network of people, and so that fuels your business, and then your business, you basically turn around and then help these people create a lifestyle. So it's interesting how lifestyle plays a role in both, your connections as well as how you then turn around and impact people and their lives.
Yeah, I think 100% on that. And it happens naturally or organically, because if you go there seeking something other than just being in relationship with the people and engaged, people can see through that in a heartbeat. So just be there as a person and have interest in what they're doing and be a resource. Or there's plenty of times that I do things not expecting anything in return, but just to be of value or be an advisor. And all of a sudden, like, someone will call you like a year later. Hey, remember that conversation that we had
Right.
at the restaurant where I wasn't sure what I was doing? I took your advice. I'm going to move. So now would you like to sell my house? But
Oh,
it's
nice.
like just being there as a listener, give advice, because like we are connected with so many different types of people in our jobs too. I mean, doctors, lawyers, professional surfers, like someone that just started their own like business. So there's so many different interesting people that we learn from and get exposed to.
Now, is that how it started for you, or is now just because of where you are in your business, you're able to be more about relationships? I feel like a lot of times, if a new realtor or a new agent comes on, they're just like, they're basically calling phone, on the phone all the time, trying to generate some business. At what point did you see that kind of transition to more of like expression of your own lifestyle? That's how you kind of generate more of your business, and then referrals, obviously.
It started this way. I feel really lucky, and that's when I talk about gratitude. And maybe I manifested it somehow, but the first month I was in real estate, I sold a house. And then the next month, and then the next month. And maybe because I already had trusted relationships with many people that were my core group of friends or people that I worked with in the past, and they knew my personality and integrity and interests, people trusted me right out the gate, which I doesn't always happen. So luckily, I've never had I make phone calls to sell a house to remind people that I have a house for sale, and this is what it is. But I've never had to go out and seek business through the telephone, and I'm really glad about that.
That's awesome. I think that's kind of telling of your personality. And you come across, very genuine, very professional, but very, like I said, early, genuine, very authentic. It doesn't feel like, and that's probably why most people gravitate towards you and trust you almost immediately, because there's not that initial like, okay, what's this realtor really after, right?
Mhm.
Because I feel a lot of times there could be that kind of negative view of realtors, which is, okay, what do you want, right? And different situations create more of that feeling. Like, let's say if you double end a deal, the parties might think, oh, do they really have my interest in mind? And so when you come as a very authentic person that kind of brings down those walls, those barriers, and you're able to create rapport pretty quickly.
Yeah, and thankfully, I've had a lot of transactions where I represented the seller and the buyer. You have to be super transparent and share. And I always ask them, like, hey, I can do this and I'm really good at managing this process. And it works out better because we don't have somebody else in the way,
Right.
because we all have the same goal.
Right.
And you're only going to take you're going to take this price. They're going to pay this price. If it's going to work, we're going to make it work really well. And if that's not going to come to conclusion, then it's not the right deal. So always give people the option. Like, hey, I could have a colleague, and they're like, no, we trust you. Like, we feel like you have your back, and you're going to be all the cards on the table, and the sellers like it. So we actually have one that's happening. I think we're closing either today or tomorrow.
Nice.
And so it's pretty interesting because of COVID.
Uh-huh.
There's been an influx of people moving from other cities
Right.
here that don't necessarily have a relationship
Mm-hmm.
with an agent. And so they're relying on going to listings. They're trying to educate themselves in a different way through technology because they don't have that initial contact. And they meet agents along the way on looking at houses. And then once they bond with somebody, they bond in trust.
Right. Right. And you've talked about kind of, or you've hinted at, like, when you first started and what you learned, and obviously now you have just this wealth of knowledge through your years. What kind of advice would you give somebody who's looking to become a realtor, someone who's new, or maybe something you wish you knew? You can go back and speak to Sean when you first started. What would that be?
Well, I think for anyone starting, if they think, oh gosh, it's going to be super easy to sell that house. I saw that house was sold in a day. Or I can work part-time and still drive around the kids and be a soccer mom or dad. It
Uh-huh.
doesn't matter, man or woman. You have to love what you do
Mm.
and be available all the time. It's interesting because I think doctors are on call less than we are,
Mm.
especially in a market like we have today,
Sure.
where you're so inclined to drop everything all the time when a new one comes up because you're competing in certain price points
Right.
against a lot of people. And if it's the right property, you want your buyers to win
Mm-hmm.
because there's not enough of them out there, and people can only take
Sure.
the fatigue of not winning a couple times in a row, and then people become less attached or less inclined because it's a hard process right now, and it won't always be this difficult. The market will pick up. I mean, in terms of as COVID dies down a bit more people are vaccinated, more people are going to have people in their homes, people are going to be comfortable, and hopefully we want the market, of course, to be doing as well as it is, which we believe it will, and it'll be a great year. But at least there may be more choices for people.
Mm. That makes sense. And then in regards to your advice for somebody in terms of video and social media, can you talk a little bit just about how how somebody would go about maybe starting and really breaking through that initial hesitation, right? Because I don't know about you. You seem like you love being on camera. Like, I feel like your true personality comes out, and you're able to inspire, and you really see that passion come through when you're on camera. What about someone who's not like that? Was that how you started? What kind of
Uh,
helped you get through that?
I started because I was terrified of it.
Mm.
I sucked. Like so the first time I was doing something for, I think Lifestyle San Diego,
Hmm.
or the American Dream.
Yeah.
And I was doing a house in Rancho Santa Fe. And so I'm driving slowly past the golf course. And I thought, if I just roll my car ever so slightly into a sand pit and then be upside down, I won't have to do this video to you. I literally I was like sick to my stomach. I didn't sleep like the whole night before, probably the whole week. I didn't eat salt. Now I do. I mean, I was like drinking water, like,
Right.
like overthinking the whole process.
Uh-huh.
And then I did the first one, and I'm like, okay, I'll do one more,
Sure.
and then I'll do one more, and then I'm like, oh God, why do I put myself through this? Like, it
Right.
was painful for me.
Sure.
And I would do like one a month, and I couldn't even say like the address of a house when I first started. It was for my name,
Right.
and so I just kept doing it because I wanted to be good, because I knew it was going to be such an important part
Right.
of our job. And then all of a sudden, one day I woke up like, this is fun. So
Mm.
I went from like this terrifying experience
Sure.
to fun. Like I used to practice and like all these things. And then when I realized, when I let all that, of course you need to practice and be prepared, but when
Right.
you let that part go and not worry about how you're going to be perceived, just be your authentic self.
Right.
Know your material though,
Yes.
and know what's, but be yourself in terms, when I say that, in the way you're describing something and the way you're sharing something, because if it's too rehearsed, it's not going to be great.
Exactly. Exactly. You're on it, man. I mean, I agree with you 100%. I think you have to be prepared. Obviously, run through your lines if you have lines or whatever it is. Know your address, know your square footage, right? Know your stuff. But when you're there in the moment, just let it go. Let yourself give
Trust
yourself
yourself.
space, right?
Yeah, because before it used to be like a 3-page script, and I'd give it to like the editor, and if there's a person with me, and here's your line,
Right.
and they're like, are you a movie producer or a real estate agent? Like, this is very important. And so now, then it became like, these are the 5 points I want to get across.
Right.
This is what we need to stress. And then when you let that go, it's easy because we know the 5 things we want to say,
Right.
and just go with that.
Right. And then you just allow for some spontaneous creativity,
Spontaneous is good.
right?
Yeah.
I'm reading this book, Psycho Cybernetics. I don't know if that's
I
by
don't know.
Dr. Maxwell. Anyway, if you're interested, I'll send it to you. But
That'd be awesome.
it's very much about just kind of changing your perspective. It's very much about not like up in the air only, but also like real life examples of how people change their perspective. He's actually was a I think he passed now, but he was a surgeon, a plastic surgeon, and he realized that he would do these surgeries, and a lot of times, more often than not, people's own opinion of themselves didn't change, and therefore it didn't matter if they changed themselves physically. What the most important thing he said was when they believed that they were a different person, or that they now had a different way about themselves that gave them that confidence that we're looking for, or allowed them to be a different person, right? So what he noticed is, more than anything, obviously you can help. I mean, plastic surgeons can help a lot of people in a lot of ways, but if someone is looking for that,
Like a quick fix.
yeah, like a quick fix, or like, hey, if you change my nose, I'm going to be a better person. He was just like, you could do that, but if you find the change first, like within yourself, then you're able to make that change. And I think it's similar to you in a sense of like, it was painful, but then you were able to switch kind of the way you labeled it, right? From something that was painful to something that was fun.
Yeah, so I think yep, you're exactly right. Just change your perspective about it, and don't have so much attachment to it, because it's all going to be okay. You're not on live TV. We're
Right.
not, like, you, anything can be edited, adjusted,
Sure.
and everybody has the same goal.
Right. But even, I mean, you can look at Steve Harvey, right? When he messed up, that must have been. But he didn't. He's still doing his thing. He didn't. He's a real person. He messed up. He said sorry, I
You
guess.
know, about it all the time.
Right. So we're real people. I think a lot of times people try to be too polished. And I'm looking at the time, Sean. So I know we'll wrap up here pretty soon. I know you got a few appointments to run to, but when we try to be too polished, you lose that authenticity. I think that draws people to other people. Like you're drawn to certain people because of their personality and who they are.
Yeah, and we try to be perfect in everything we do because the world's watching
Right.
more now than ever. But be as good as you can, and people know we're human. Like, if like one thing is off even slightly, I have a panic attack, and I'm like, no, this is all manageable. It's all good. You call the people, you share what happened, and people are generally good. They want everyone to be okay. They know that nothing's 100% perfect. Just do the best you can every day.
Sure. Do the best you can every day.
And learn from like mistakes.
Right.
Don't do it again.
Yeah, well, you got to learn from it, right?
Right. Because if we don't, yeah, I mean, we have to grow every day from like what went well today, what didn't go well today, what could we have been better at, what could we have prevented. Okay, so every day we're getting better. Every day we're getting better, but you have to reflect on that.
Sean, thank you so much. You've been a great reminder for me in terms of how I can become a better person, a better professional, and still being true to myself. I appreciate you being on the show today.
It was nice because when you gave me kind of a list of what you maybe wanted to talk about, but it was all going to come across naturally. I had to reflect a little bit and think. And so every time we do something like this, like today was a learning experience for me, because then I'm like, oh yeah, it's a reminder. Okay, oh yeah, like why do I like that? Why do we do this? Like what practices do you have that are super helpful? And then the ones that maybe you get busy and you forget, you re-implement.
Sure.
So good for me.
Well, thank you so much. And for those who are watching or listening, what's the best place? Where's a good spot for them to go visit so they can either connect with you or start following you on social media?
So my Instagram is just Prince of Cardiff.
Okay.
And then also oceanranches.com. And then my number is 858-472-1074. Thank you, David.
Awesome, Sean. Well, thank you so much for your time. Yeah, and I hope to have you back on the show in a future date.
That'd be awesome. Thanks so much.
Have a good one.
Bye, you too.